Hello. So I'm Ali, website psychically.net. So I'm going to be doing some predictions this week for the Gemini characters. Okay, so this is Monday the 27th of April through to Sunday the 3rd of May 2020. Okay, so 3 predictions a week. So beginning, middle and end, and we'll cover finances, kind of emotions and a general. Okay, so I'm just going to tune in with you Geminis. A typical Geminis obviously they're known for having like a dual personality, and everyone thinks it has to be a good personality and a bad personality. That's not always the case. They do have to make friends with their other side, with their other person, because they can't get away from them. That is how they are. But they might be. You might meet a Gemini, and they will be very quiet and reserved. But then when you get to know them, they're louder than life, and they are funny, and they're extrovert. So all the opposite way round. A lot of comedians, have got the Gemini personality, where you think there'll be a bundle of laughs in their private life, but actually they're very quiet. They come alive on the stage, but they're quiet indoors. So yeah, so that's kind of a Gemini. Okay, Pisces characters are a little bit similar. Okay, Pisces, they've got the fish, so they can be changeable with their directions. So yeah, but yeah, so we're going to do Geminis this week. Okay, so let's see what's going to be happening in your life at the beginning of this week. Right, so the beginning of this week, emotionally, you're going to have to decide. I feel as if it's kind of like I've got to walk away from something. I can't deal with this anymore. I'm done. It might be that you just want to be distracted away from a certain thing, a certain topic. I do feel as if it's a person though, I really do. And I feel that it's like there's obstacles around that need to be put away. Okay, let me listen to exactly what they say. There's a need to address the obstacles that have occurred whilst you've been feeling this way. Okay, so in order for you to get to the stage where you want to walk away, what led up to that? What happened? Does that make sense? What is going on? Does that make sense with you? Are you the one changing, or was it them changing? Was it a bit of both? Does that make sense? If there's a fallout or something, maybe you need to look at the fact that well, I could have handled that differently, or maybe what have I learned from this? Because I feel as if there's a spiritual feeling around this. Okay, so yeah, so it's a bit of analysing, I would say, emotionally. Okay, right. Financially, you've got the same card that came up for the Taurians. Okay, and this basically indicates that it's like having a crossroads time, but there's links with your hopes, dreams and wishes. What is it that I want? Where am I going? Okay, now I'm going to say to you that so many people are going through this right now. Is that another card? An odd card in there? Yeah, so yeah, it's like so many people are going through that transition stage, and it's because life has been we've been put on hold. Okay, unless you're a key worker, of course. Most people are kind of settling down and they're thinking about things. They've got time to analyse whether or not they are really happy or not. Am I happy, or am I just going through the motions of being happy? Perhaps I can make different choices and different decisions. This is my chance to change pathways. So with the Chariot coming up, you can understand why. Does that make sense? It's like the horses are running free. Does that make sense? These horses, the black and white, and there's nothing meant by the black and white, black being bad and white being good. No. It's more to do with differences. There's it could be that you are in a very materialistic job, but you kind of like your psychic stuff or your holistic healing, that sort of thing. It's like, well, I'm torn between the two. Sometimes we have to follow our dreams, but they have to run parallel with our everyday life. Does that make sense? It's sometimes we just have to, do things gradually. Does that make sense? But that doesn't mean to say that you can't follow your dreams. Let's have a look at you emotionally. Let's have a look. So emotionally. Now emotionally, we've got the card that says people having their various roles. That's your job. This is my job. I'm, going to do this. So you do that. Does that make sense? It's all to do with giving people jobs and compartments. So you're thinking about this regarding your emotional life. So if, of course, you're living alone, this could just be what you're thinking about. Does that make sense? What you're planning in your mind. You're thinking, say if you're single and you wouldn't mind meeting somebody and living with that person, you would be thinking, well, I don't know, maybe if they had their space and I had mine, and when you're kind of analysing things. So I do think there's a lot of kind of deep thinking going on emotionally for you. How will this work if, that sort of thing. Okay, I do see that there's a character who feels like they are sacrificing their happiness for you. Now this could be the other way around, that they're aware that you are sacrificing your happiness for them. Okay, and there's a bit of an issue with this, so this will be addressed, okay, around the beginning of this week. So that'll be Monday 27th of April, so 28th, 29th maybe. Okay, so the middle of this week for Geminis, the middle of this week, you are actually at a quite good place, because this to me feels as if I'm centered and I'm happy. I like who I am. I like being a bit different. I like it when people think, that they know me, and then this other character comes out. I quite like it. So I feel that you're definitely getting more of a balance. Does that make sense regarding you? I see that you are tippy-toeing around a person. This is linked with a property and keys. I don't know where these keys come in, but I'm seeing that. It's all to do with your security, what you have, what you own, looking at maybe what you're going to be doing. Does that make sense? But it's feeling affluent, definitely. So affluent doesn't have to be monetary. Sometimes it can be feeling blessed within our lives and our family. Linking to your finances. Spirit are definitely helping you regarding your finances, because we've got the Hierophant, which to me is spiritual teaching. You've got the Fool card, which says, sorry, I'm doing it. Okay, so there's definitely a light being shone on, a pathway that is going to be exactly right for you to go down. Okay, and the Fool card indicates that it's just taking that leap of faith and not blocking it. Okay. Right, so you're definitely on the road to happiness. I feel that there are links to do with your love life and your emotions. You have decided that this is the direction I'm going in. This is where I'm heading. It would be nice if somebody came with me, but I'm not going to stop my path. So it's a bit like you've got a plan, you've got a life path. You're not going to be changing it anytime soon. So if there's a character, a person coming into your life or love life, they're going to have to understand that. They're going to have to understand that this is your direction, and you're not going to be changing that anytime soon. Now, there is a character close to you who's going to be analysing themselves a lot. They're going to be a little bit too much of the dissecting, because I'm picking up the card, the bit of the card that says victim. It's like if we start picking holes in us too much, we then become poor me. Does that make sense? It's like, oh, I've always had trouble with that. And, it's like, oh, God, please, nobody wants to be around that energy, not for long anyway. But we all get like it now and again. Nobody's perfect. But when sometimes you just need them to start, look at what you have, look at where your life is, Look at where your power is. Your power is in the now. You know, and I've said this before, but that's how you're going to be feeling towards this person. Okay, so, I mean, if it's yourself, then you're giving yourself a talking to. Okay, so it could always be that way round. So Geminis, at the end of this week, there's links with authority figures or fatherly characters, links along that energy. And if you think about somebody who is trying to ask you what you're doing, how you're doing it, you know, where have you been, you know, they're being a little bit too nosy, if you like. Does that make sense? In your face? You're going to see this as a bit of a challenge, and I feel that sarcasm is going to come right out of your mouth. So I do feel that they won't be able to. It's like they won't be able to kind of ask these questions and get a sensible answer. Okay, you're going to be saying things in a very blunt but funny way. Does that make sense? You're going to be able to get away with things where normally you wouldn't, because I do feel this person laughing. Does that make sense? You know, when somebody asks these things, then they don't realise that they're actually being nosy, or they don't realise that they shouldn't be asking that. Does that make sense? So you might be just pointing it out and them saying, okay, I get it. Okay, so you got the true love card. So the true love card, I used to cringe when this came up when I had readings. It's like when my friends used to give me readings at the Guiding Angels shop, they used to give me readings and they used to say, oh, I'm seeing love around you. I'm like, no, haven't got time for that. No, ran the other way. And then along comes Greg, and that's it. So yeah, if it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone. So yeah, I just see that there is some love interest around you, that you're ready, okay, for love. If you're like me, sitting back there and thinking I'm not ready for the love, I don't want it, then this will be the love of the self. And I will say that I can understand where that is, because sometimes you like your own company. You don't need anybody else. You're in that centered space of happiness. And I will say that that's the best time to then meet somebody, because you're not needy. You're not craving. Does that make sense? You're not trying so hard to meet someone, or to get out there. Does that make sense? To be noticed. I'm being needy. I'm trying to be too much. So that's why I'm seeing that get to that stage of I'm just all right. I'm on my own. That's when usually people then turn up in your life, don't they? To be fair. So, okay, there is somebody who is offering you either a date or offering you some sort of temptation. Because we've got, if you have a look, there is a key in her hand, and it's like, well, I'm in my comfort zone here. I've got my armchair, okay, watching my soaps, but it's like the shackles are there, but the shackles can come off. You can come out and play, because they've got their little their key. If you're wondering what these cards are, they're called the Enlightenment deck by Chuck Spezzano, and they're done. He's a psychologist, and they're really good. Okay, so if you're a counsellor and you kind of wanted a pack of cards, then I would highly recommend this deck. There is another deck called the Love deck, and they're a little bit how can I, if you see the words, does that make sense? If you're kind of doing a reading for somebody and they're in front of you and they can then read the words, some of them are quite shocking. Does that make sense? Some of the words. And some of them are really quite graphically, I don't mean rude, I just mean there's a lot to it. Does that make sense? So yeah, so I prefer the Enlightenment deck because it's fluffier. Okay, that's kind of why I think it's better for clients and things if they see them. Okay, so financially, what's happening financially? Oh, you've got one of the best cards in the deck. You've got the World. The World indicates happiness. It indicates that things are turning out better than you thought. There's a good outcome to things. This is linked around the Hermit, so it's to do with your home. So yeah, there's some really good news coming to you about your home at the end of this week. Okay, so there you go. That's for you, Gemini people. And if you did want a reading from myself, you can go to psychically.net and have a little look there. I think there's some free readings on there as well. You can just have there's a kind of a game on there that you can do. Okay, anyway, take care everybody, have a lovely week. Bye.